I welcome in. It's a Friday edition. Philly Sports Bets. We have a lot of shit we want to get to stack up in the NFL. We have a wacky Week 18. We also have a national championship game that I'm almost tempted. Harry, Matt, Mays, Jericho, Shander as well. Teddy throwing shit. I'm actually inclined to say, let's put the Eagles on the back burner. Oh, wait, we do have a show Monday, though. We do have a show Monday.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was all geeked up, as they say, to talk about the TCU Georgia game. So we can still start with the Eagles, since let's get it back to the Eagles, Harry.
Well, they're now 14-point favorites in this game, and obviously Jalen Hurts is going to play. I know the coach is now being coy, as he's been back at practice, but he won't commit today to reporters apparently, and I get all that. But I don't know what to make of these Week 18 games. I'm looking at some of the quarterbacks that are playing. David Blau, Nathan Peterman, Skylar Thompson, Sam Ellinger, Sam Howell in Washington. After earlier in the week, it was said it was going to be Heineke over Wentz, and then maybe Sam Howell will come in at some point, and then all of a sudden that was retrenched, and it's now Sam Howell getting the start. They're really confused down there. Your man Ron Rivera didn't even know that the playoffs were at stake last week in that
There's
game.
just no way he hasn't lost the locker room yet, right? With these moves.
So that's my theory in all of this. Is we saw this with Doug Peterson, where he physically tanked an exit interview to make sure that he was fired and didn't have to give back any money. Look, Ron Rivera's been around for a long time. He's a former head coach. This might be a situation where it's like, they're going to bring me back. And to Matt's point, I've already lost the locker room. This might be the final nail in ensuring that he's fired and essentially bought out. Right.
Sort of like, doing his own demise. He's firing himself, essentially, making it so obvious that you got to get rid of him because he wants no part of like there's going to be new ownership there.
No.
It's everything's a rebuild. And also Josh Dobbs is coming back to play for the Tennessee Titans in a game that Matt and I talked about on Wednesday. And I don't know if you're interested in this game, Eitan. Jacksonville, Tennessee, one of the better games of the weekend. And I'm actually on the opposite side of a lot of people. I like Tennessee plus the points in this game.
Yeah, the only thing I played in this game is the first half field goal, right? Because it's the criteria, right? So
you should just put that on autopilot.
Right. If the sun is down, assume that I'm playing that on BetMGM. Here's the thing about that game, though. Like, you have to take 7. Even 6.5, I think it can get a little dicey. But the one play that I think I like more than any, because I think it fits into 2 separate scenarios, is the under. I think you can see, look, Josh Dobbs and that Titans offense, they're not going to catch up down 3 scores.
No.
So even with a blowout, Jacksonville, assuming they're blowing out Titans, I think that can stay, 30-10, something like that. But what's more likely to happen is the Titans are covering a 6.5 to 7 point spread, and that's also in a lower scoring game. So it helps what you're doing. And look, I think it's a division game. Josh Dobbs is a veteran quarterback.
He's competent.
Yeah. If Malik Willis is playing, I'm not touching the Titans. Josh Dobbs, I'll bet Dobbs at 7. So I don't hate you for it.
No, he looked okay against Dallas. He wasn't great by any step, but he looked like a competent quarterback. And I think that's really all that Coach Vrabel can, hope to put out there. And obviously Malik Willis is not that at this point in his career. Derrick Henry getting healthier. He's averaged over 100 yards, 105 yards per game in like 12 or 13 games in his career against the Jaguars. And the thing about it is, and I made this point on Wednesday, I just don't trust Jacksonville yet laying 6.5 points in a game that means something to both sides. I just can't. I like what Doug Peterson has done. They've been great in the second half. The quarterback looks like he's legit, but I just don't trust him laying almost a touchdown in this game.
No, I understand. And honestly, I'm not picking either side when it comes to this game. One thing that I was sure of, probably one of my locks for this weekend, was a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. And I know a lot of the public is probably heavy on that, but truthfully, this is just one of those plays that you just can't overthink. In 11 games in his career against the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's amassed 1,143 yards and 15 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
So to your point too, like this seems for minus 115, this seems like almost a guarantee. So I really like Henry.
1.3 per game in his career against them.
It's a great number.
Yep.
Look, there's a lot of newness. I know Doug's been around a lot, but at some point, Doug can't be making throws and making decisions like
Right.
split-second decisions. So Peterson deserves a hell of a round of applause, benefit, and definitely of that. But, I mean, we're talking about Mike Vrabel, who led a team to the AFC top seed last year. And I'm with you, Harry. The point you made there, the under is in there as well. What about the other game? And this is what I did with Kansas City. And look, some of this is just a matter of I don't see how the NFL, who doesn't have a problem showing their ass and just being like, yeah, we showed our ass, deal with it. But I also don't think that they invite situations where their ass is shown. Meaning, if Kansas City loses, that continues. And Harry and Matt, you guys know exactly where I'm going.
Yep.
Look, they may not cover that spread. They're awful in one-score spreads, right? It's down to 9. Forget that. But I think the money line for Kansas City allows the Chiefs to not cover. The public gets burned. And all of a sudden now the Chiefs don't cause this major controversy about what do you do now. So here's the correlation. If the Chiefs, when the Chiefs win, all of a sudden that Buffalo game is double negative and Buffalo is now zapped. Look, if that game meant something, you put everything that you own on Buffalo, because we've seen now communication. We've seen this past week. Now there's a whole win one for the Gipper, but that only works when you need a win one. Right. It doesn't work when you got a bunch of backups out there and there's nothing to truly spoil it outside of so what I would do, and this is what I did, is I played a correlation parlay. I took Kansas City on the money line, and I took New England +7. That's plus 134 back on a 2-leg parlay of KC money line, New England 7. Because let's be honest, once Kansas City wins, that Patriots line from spread and money line are going to dip significantly.
Yeah, no question about it. I love that idea. You've thought this through. You understand how the NFL works, and they do not want to have egg or something else, something worse on their face.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this Kansas City game, and I like the idea of just taking the money line instead of the spread, because I feel like a couple weeks in a row now, we've looked at the Kansas City Chiefs, especially against that game against the Broncos. I think me and Harry were both on the bad side of that, where they definitely should be blowing this team out of the water, but they just skate by, right? So I was taking a little 2-legger. I took Jerick McKinnon, 25+ alternate receiving yards. He's gotten this over in 4 straight games now, and the 5th game was just a hook of 20 yards. So I really like him, 25+. He's been a key component of this offense, especially in these little bubble screens that Andy Reid loves to run. So I really like that one. And then I took the Chiefs on an alternate of -2.5 instead. So just in case it does come down to a 3-point game.
Oh, that's the parlay. That's the same game parlay.
Yeah, this is a little 2-legger. Yep. Yeah, and you could get that one. That comes in. You add those together for -126, and I feel like that's a lot more of the value than I would have liked if I'm taking like that -9.5 or something of that sort.
Talking about parlays.
Yeah, go ahead.
Eagles.
No,
okay.
no.
Now I'm going to put the Eagles in a money line parlay. So go ahead.
Well, I only have one play in this game right now because I don't look. Jalen Hurts going to play. We know all that stuff, but I don't know how the Eagles look. I think the Giants have extra motivation. Brian Daboll can solidify. Even if Peterson wins, we talked about this. There's that. There's Tyrod Taylor, who is no slouch as a backup. And look, to be honest, Brian Daboll even hinted at this. They're not going to sit everybody. This is not a Mike Vrabel situation where practice squad guys are going to be out there. So whoever's out there is playing to not only win, but, knock them down. Here's what I think. These two teams have a shot to play each other a third time this year in the playoffs. The Eagles need this game, but they don't need to show a lot. The Giants don't need to show anything. A 20-17 game seems realistic, especially with a backdoor open in the late game of that fourth quarter. So what I did is I bought down to under 41.5 at even money, and I'm playing under 41.5 in this game. Key number 41.51, only two I care about, but under 41.5 at even money.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. How long? I mean, I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to play at all. I mean, I wouldn't put him out there.
No, but Matt Breida is a veteran running back.
Right. Yeah. He's capable. Yeah.
Backups. Yeah.
Right. But as far as Daniel Jones goes, does Daniel Jones play the entire game? And if not, Tyrod Taylor is totally competent. I mean, he could go win you a football game. So I think this game could be very close. The Eagles don't have to cover any spread. They're not worried about that. Just win the game. And if they have a substantial lead, I would, say in the fourth quarter, I wouldn't be opposed to them pulling Jalen Hurts off the field and letting Minshew finish out the game, and then who knows what happens. So I could easily see a backdoor cover there. I just put the Eagles in a money line parlay with the Niners and the Falcons, and it came down to minus 122 for all three of those games to hit on the money line.
Wow. It's, you know what, though? It's not bad because they all make sense.
Right.
So you're adding three legs that you would play individually with bankroll, clearly. So it's not like you're just adding something to drop a parlay. That's kind of how you wind up losing more often than not. So I think it's good, man. What do you have to do with that?
I was looking right now. I was looking at the Giants' first half total because I like the first half for both teams, right? I like looking at those individually. The Eagles was sitting at 14, which was a little high for me, but the Giants came in at 6.5. So that number, I feel really comfortable hopping in on an over just because I feel like we could see a couple field goals in this scenario, or even not that the Giants are going to come out and put up 2 touchdowns, but they really like those 50-yard field goals, and their offense tends to get them just enough to get there, So in the first half, over 6.5 total points for the Giants at minus 120. I feel really comfortable laying that one just because I feel everyone's looking at the Giants as a second half only type of team. And for most of the part of the season, that's what they've been. But that doesn't mean that they can't put up 7 points for us, come first half. So I really like that one. And it goes along with your kicking prop too. So if we see some heavy kicks come in the first half, then, hopefully we hit both of those.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Love the first half kicks.
Oh, man. It's got to look. Nights, we stretch out in the daytime every now and again. I'm not going to play the Chiefs game, though. Let's look. Anything else? We talked about the KC game, the Titans game, the Eagles game. Look, there are some other games here. Green Bay, Seattle, right? Those 2 games are key. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So I'll throw a couple of things that I have out here for you. I'm not touching that spread with Seattle. Again, this is, to me, and you can define trap all you want. I think trap is like you think a team's going to kill them and they wind up, not covering the spread. I get it that the NFL would much rather have both Detroit and Green Bay with something to play for, but Seattle with that well-coached team is not losing this game to the Rams on the money line. So what I've done is I've taken Seattle, and then with Green Bay having everything to play for, it's a minus 102 money line parlay for Seattle and Green Bay.
Right.
That's the first one. I added Jacksonville, Harry, at $50 bet to win $85 for those 3 money line parlay. And just to make it fun, just to add a little twist here, I bought up LA and I have them +7, the Rams, at 1.25. So ideally, look, it's
Teddy Stacks is not.
He doesn't like Baker
He's not on that bet.
Dude, I wish I could show you. He's sitting here like this. I kid you not. He's sitting here. But
he's like, that's a loser. I'm fading
Baker,
you. Teddy
Mayfield.
Stacks is fading you.
Baker, look, all I need is Baker to lose within 7, and both of those sides hit. That's a hell of a middle.
Right. Now explain to the people about the consequences of that Seattle game on the Green Bay Detroit game, because if Seattle wins, Detroit's out, right?
Correct. So what you have now is the belief that Detroit is going to lay down. But here's where I appeal to Harry Mays more so than anything else, all right? Your guy, Dan Campbell, along with the NFL, is not going to lay down. That's going to be I think Detroit plays that game the exact same way if they're in or out of the postseason. I don't think anything changes, which is great because Seattle can still win that game. Green Bay still has a lot to play for, and you're not ruining your Sunday night schedule. Does that make sense? Like, I think this scenario can actually still play out. The risk, of course, is the Rams at +7, and Seattle wins by more than 7. But it's the last game of the season. Seattle has a lot to play for. I think it's closer than advertised.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I parlayed, and we talked about this on Wednesday too. Green Bay is the other side that I like, along with Tennessee. I took Green Bay and Tennessee in a parlay. You can get +256 with those 2 teams on DraftKings, and I also took Green Bay individually.
Yeah, something about the Green Bay Packers right now. I feel like Aaron Rodgers back against the wall with nothing to lose is just not a guy anybody wants to see come playoff time. And I feel like that's kind of the pace that we're kicking up to. He's gaining a little more trust week by week with Christian Watson. The run game is coming together more with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They're finding that balance between the two. Because honestly, for the first probably 2 months of the season, I was looking at Matt LaFleur he might not be a good coach, truthfully. I was very skeptical of his coaching skills. And the talent that they had was there,
Yeah.
especially in that backfield. So it's about time that they started getting that going. And I really like the Packers to take this one. And I also like the over 49.5 for -105. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. Not much cornerback coverage on either side. We've seen a fall off in Jair Alexander and Jeff Okuda. Both relatively big slopes for them. So I think this is going to be a pretty big dominated game through the passing. So
yeah, and if you remember back in week 9, Eitan, these two teams met. Detroit won at 15-9, and that was the week that Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. I think they were all in the red zone. So they were moving the football like crazy on Detroit, but Aaron just had an abysmal game.
Look, we got pissed off because we were betting on or against, what have you, for a couple of weeks here. But remember, it came out like, 2/3 through the season that he was playing with a broken thumb or like a banged up thumb.
Yeah.
So that wasn't even on the injury report.
Right.
And then you can start. I think the correlation, and look, I think you're right to still have reservations about Jericho.
I do have reservations about Jericho.
I know you do, Harry. Like, you're not sold yet on Team Jericho. But what I would say is, like, the only thing that seemed to have drastically changed is Aaron Rodgers' thumb. That and he's not Tom Brady, guys. Like, he's not looking around struggling to throw the football. And yeah, man, that's definitely one there.
Although Brady looked great last week, he finally figured out how to.
Yeah, one game in the last 14 weeks, right? Let's see what happens when he gets another affidavit sent to him from Gisele Bundchen this week, right? Just to needle in. So 2 quick things I wanted to mention. I love the Browns in a teaser, and I want to explain that a little bit here. I think the Browns are prime teaser mode at 3 or 2.5. The last thing I wanted to mention, though, was Baltimore. I took Baltimore at +7. Look, Cincinnati is starting a third. There's just say this. I don't even know what the guy's name is. What's his name, Harry? The Cincinnati.
For their quarterback?
Yeah, they're not starting Burrow.
Well, I have no idea who their guy is. The guys I rattled off didn't include Cincinnati.
Well, that's the thing. Like, a guy that you've never heard of is going to cover a 7-point spread.
Right. No,
So,
I'm with you.
I took Baltimore +7, and I teased Cleveland to 9 and Seattle to 0.5 point. I think Cleveland is a prime. Like the Jets, these other teams that are Chicago, they're not ruining anything. They're just out there to lose in order to secure their draft pick. It's hard to find a Week 18 true spoiler. I think Cleveland is right there in the middle. They're not going to really do much to their draft pick, and they would much rather ruin Mike Tomlin's year. Deshaun Watson's going to play full on. Like, there's no pulling back here. So I like Cleveland so long as you tease them through 3, 6, and 7.
Is it Brandon Allen playing for Cincinnati?
Yes.
I think that's their.
Yeah.
I think that's.
He ain't covering a 7-point spread against anybody.
No, and how about the Ravens? If the Ravens win this game, there's going to be a coin toss. I understand to determine home field.
Because Baltimore beat Cincinnati twice, but because Cincy played one less game, they have a better winning percentage.
Right, which it doesn't seem right.
No.
If I'm Baltimore, I'm like, a coin toss? Are you serious?
No.
I do have one play that I was looking at. We're talking about all this backup quarterback stuff going on, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to hop in on some rushing props. So I was taking Joe Mixon over 51.5, -114. I think he's going to be a workhorse this game. I think they're really going to look to him to be accelerating that run game, and I think they're going to keep him in that rushing mode while they can also have Samaje Perine catching passes out of the backfield. So I think Mixon's going to be the primary rusher, maybe even the goal line scorer, while Samaje Perine's the one that's going to be catching the screens and whatnot.
Nice.
It's a sharp look, man. Especially like Derrick Henry receiving yards might be a sneaky play with Dobbs. Like, I like where you're going, Matt, where you're starting to target game plan around a backup and take advantage of guys around him too. All right, so let's do this. Let's save Monday night. Unless you want to get a play out, but I want to hammer this game because we've got props. Like, this is its own show, I think, we can dedicate on Monday. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm with it.
Any NBA out of you two guys?
Well, I'm on TCU plus 13.5. That's all I'm going to let you know right
now. Okay.
Are you?
All right. I'll keep it in mind.
No.
Okay, good.
No, I'm not.
That's a perfect tease for Monday. Pay attention.
I'm on a first half bet right now.
Well, I'm interested. Look, that could easily hit. I'm looking at the back door being open in the second half. Big games tonight in the NBA. I'll keep it short and sweet. This is a really good opportunity to take a team like Phoenix at home plus money. They look awful. They look
stink.
lost without Devin Booker. And here come the Miami Heat that look like they figured this thing out. Just when you think you figured this thing out, look at the Brooklyn Nets and that awful loss that they had to snap that streak. My point being is that it's not often that you get Phoenix, even without Devin Booker, at home plus money, unless it's against an emphatically better team, which is rare. So I think there's just value on the board. I'll take the Suns plus money at home to win the game.
Nice. Well, we've been coming with Kyrie Irving, that 25 plus in a Brooklyn win for a couple weeks now as one of our plays. And I'm guessing that the books are catching on because that same play has now bumped up 3 points to 28 and a win, coincidentally enough. So I'm going to be going with the other guy in that court, Kevin Durant, 30 plus tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans and a win. No Zion Williamson out there, so it's going to be Kevin Durant battling with Brandon Ingram. And for plus 186, I really like the value of this. They're looking for a bounce back game, like you said, after that loss against the Chicago Bulls that really shouldn't have happened. It was kind of a late game meltdown for them, so I'm looking for the Slim Reaper to kind of take over the game, especially in a personal matchup against Brandon Ingram. This is somebody that when he was coming into the league, they said he was the next Kevin Durant, so I'm expecting this to be somewhat personal between the two, and I think Kevin Durant's really going to go after him tonight, and I really like the position he's in to put up 30.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Love that. I mean, he last I checked, he was at minus 155 to go over 1.5 threes. I think you just play 3+, knowing that that's going to move, and you're going to lose that value if it's not right there. Durant taking threes. I love it, man. I love it.
And no Joel Embiid again tonight for the Sixers.
No JoJo. I do think there's buyback, though. I think the buyback is at 4.5, 4 for the Sixers.
It's 4.5 now, I think.
I don't hate if you want to wait, that's fine, but I don't hate that buyback. I think the Sixers minus 4.5 is a fine play tonight. Chicago doesn't defend the three well. If Doc Rivers just figured this freaking thing out and told Melton and Maxey and even Harden to just launch some threes, would be all right.
All right, I got one more for you. Washington Wizards, Oklahoma City Thunder, over 231.5. We've been riding with this trend again for a couple weeks now. These teams with not much defensive presence, a lot of offensive firepower, a lot of three-pointers being played, and a lot of playmaking when it comes to both guards on both of these sides. So I'm looking for big games out of, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kyle Kuzma. Hey, we love him on this show.
I am telling you, there is nobody that is on the Thunder more than this guy.
Love it, man.
When do you move to Oklahoma City?
If they need a play-by-play guy, I'll come commentate some Josh Giddey games. Why not? Why not?
Oh, man.
Look, man, I love it. You're the Thunder guy. That's how people are going to know you on Fox Sports or ESPN in the year. So
there we go.
Keep doing it.
You need to get an SGA tattoo on your arm.
Hey, if he cashes us a big bet, we
might.
Let
him hit that 6-leg same-game parlay first, Aaron. Then
there you go.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, thumbs up on the way out at Matt Jericho with a 0, at Harry Mays TU, at Shander Show for me. We appreciate you rolling with us. Thumbs up, subscribe here to the Philly Voice Sports Bet Show and really the channel across the board. Have a great weekend. Go Birds, although I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Go Temple, too. They're 3-0 in the American. They got Tulane
on
Saturday.
Yes, real surprise. You like them tonight or Saturday?
It's tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I haven't seen the number yet, but Tulane's pretty good.
All right. We'll see you.